Hi, this is Aluchi from the Kavi Cauldron, and today I will be talking about a moment but forever. But before we do that, before we dive in, I wanted to talk about my book. I recently published a poetry collection titled Tasteful Hypocrisy, and it is available on Amazon and it is ready to be ordered. You can get it on Amazon for 13.49, and that's the paperback. And then the ebook, I think it's 8.99, and the ebook is pre-orders for release on May 31st. So please patronize me, purchase my book, and tell me what you think. You will love it, I promise. Now, let's dive in. We'll be talking about a moment but forever, and whew, this show got me through a period of time, and it was just a nice relief. Just for 2 hours I can just tune out everything going on and just focus on a moment but forever. And iQiyi was where I watched it, and just those 2 episodes a day, gold. But then when it started ending, they started pulling this thing where they started releasing 1 episode per day, or you had to subscribe to the premium to watch the others. So of course, I just did the 1 episode a day. That I was a little disappointed in, but okay. One thing about this show is I feel like it had a lot of potential, and they did a lot of great that they could have kept to the end, but the ending felt a bit rushed. I didn't really see. I understood what Hanyu did, like at the end when she finally gave up and disappeared. But I don't know. I felt like there should have been more retribution for her. There should have been more. I felt like that the ending of her character was a bit wasted. um Even the ending for the happy I said the happy the open ending, I am a fan of it up to a certain extent, and then I'm also not a fan of it, and I didn't really like the ending, but the beginning and the middle, gold. But that's what I think about the movie on its own. And also, I'm not really someone to harp on, oh, the wigs or the production or this. I don't really know much about that, but I appreciate good writing when I see it. Even for dramas that are not that popular, if I see a portion of it that has good writing, I might not love the whole drama, but I will love that part of the drama. But a moment but forever, I loved everything except the ending that felt rushed. And also, one thing I like about a moment but forever is it was xianxia, but it also tried to take it a step further. It also tried to, you know put a new spin on xianxia genre, which I appreciated. Like, we're so used to seeing the cut and dry xianxia every time, and gods, goddesses, trials, blah blah blah, bad person, good person. But I like how, especially how they wrote Yuan Zhong's character. He's not a good person pretending to be bad. He's not a bad person pretending to be good. He's just someone that has decided to make the best out of his circumstances, and also someone that is very, and with a touch of nihilism and also a touch of indifference. Like, he's someone that has just, he has had enough is enough, but he's also not wearing his enough is enough on his face. I love it. I love how they wrote his character. Before we continue talking about Yuan Zhang, let's talk about Han Yu as a villain for a little bit. I like how her villain act was not kickstarted by a man abandoning her directly. It was more kickstarted by her sister betraying her. Han Yu had the potential for emotional depth as a woman villain.
when they finally got around to explaining her motivations, it felt rushed. You know what I mean? And it just felt like they were trying to cram a lot of things. They gave hints here and there, but they didn't quite put her story in the way they did Yuan Zhong's. And also, even her ending felt rushed. So I feel like that what they dropped the ball with that character. I understand, I get it. I understand that she's a supporting character, but they did not set her up in a way where the audience will understand her like we understood Yuan Zhong. And the two of them had very similar, not exact experiences, but the theme of betrayal was really strong with the two of them.
You can see that even though Jin Tan Yin impacted his life, he still, it just felt like he was gonna grow regardless. I don't know if that makes sense. I like his character arc, and I think a lot of like his nihilism was influenced by being locked up in that cage that looked like a well that only had like an opening up top. But anyways, I feel like that a lot of his inner strength and his character growth and who he became on not just who he became but who he grew himself to become even after he decided to end the world and then decided against it. I think a lot of it happened in that cage, because aside from him trying to end the world, there were just certain things. I mean, of course, he read books, but there were just certain things that he had an understanding of that didn't just happen, because he was good or because he was able. And you see this when he was training that war demon, Qian Lin, played by Daniel Joe. He was training him to, become the perfect war demon. And you can see that a lot of the things that he imparted into that boy, into that young man, a lot of it wasn't just, oh, he finally saw the light because of Jin Tan Yin. Like you could see, I like how the duality was portrayed, like how he's this person that has all this understanding, but he's also selfish. He can be indifferent. He's obsessive. He has all these other qualities to him as well. That duality is very important to see. And one thing I like about not just the xianxia genre, even the wuxia and whatever, and martial arts dramas, or even like people that are crafting weaponry. Like they always say, it shouldn't be all the way. The weapon should not be all the way pure metal. You have to add some impurities to it for it to be a super weapon or whatever it is. But it's so funny that when it comes to, I see a lot of parallel with religion and just the way we treat good versus bad in society. And then it's so weird because we turn around and we thirst for anti-heroes and we thirst for a protagonist with many gray areas. And it's like we thirst for these things, we seek these things out, we want these things, but then we demonize it in our society. It is so interesting to me.
I wanted to ask, what if the point of becoming a god or a goddess in the xianxia context, and even the way we see life really, is just acknowledging those quote unquote seven deadly sins, or in their case, the five sins, acknowledging those, incorporating them, and learning how to make those sins work for you, or learning how to control them so that when you get power, you're not using that sin to abuse others. I don't know know. I feel like this thing of making people get rid of their sins or the deadly sin, it's just a thing of a thing that keeps people in this constant hamster wheel of suppression, repression, and this constant policing. Because it's never going to go away, especially if you're a human being. I mean, I guess we're talking about it in the xianxia context, but even in the heaven, the people in the heavenly part, the gods and the goddesses, they still have love, they still have hate, they still have greed, they still have, sometimes when they're alone, they still speak, their speech is not very heavenly. We see all that. And it's so funny how these humans are like trying to get rid of the five or the seven deadly sins, whatever, just so that they can ascend to godhood. And I just keep asking, maybe the secret is not getting rid of them. Maybe the secret is incorporating them. Like, how, oh my gosh, this popular saying of incorporating your shadow and your dark side or whatever. Maybe that's what it is. Because if you don't see it, if it doesn't come to light, then which means it's in the dark controlling you, like it does to all these other people in heaven that are calling the shots.
Because, for example, envy. Let's take envy, for example. Envy is one of those things that people never like to admit that they feel. They say, oh, I'm inspired. But that's the good side. That's the good side of envy. Like all these things have, if you turn it around like a mirror, if you turn it around, the other side of it is something we think is good. Because without envy, which we call inspiration, we wouldn't have all these wonderful writers. Like you have never read something somebody wrote and damn, I wish I wrote that. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna take this as fuel to get better and better and better. Now, the bad side of envy, the side that makes everybody denounce it, is the side that makes you want to destroy that person or I don't know, maim that person or just make that person cease to exist so that you can become the best. That part is not what I'm talking about. But one thing I like how philosophical A Moment But Forever is. Like even times when Jin Tan Yin tries to impose herself on him, because there were times she did, even as a goddess, there were times she did very shady things. Like what gives you the right, like entering his mind's eye when he was sleeping? Like what gives you the right, just because you think you're a goddess, what gives you the right to enter his mind? And that's violation. But there were times, I like how there were times when the other shoe was put on her leg, like it was turned around for her to see, and many times he turned it around for her to see. He thought, okay, well, if you want to enter my mind's eye and enter, I guess, the ninth level of his dreams, I should be able to enter your mind's eye and the ninth level of your dreams too. Like this thing of thinking that, oh, just because something is posed as good or as a god. I mean, Han Yu was a goddess and she was consulting with the demons and using them to do her bidding. So, like, I love how all those things were juxtaposed in this TV show. Also, another thing, when it comes to Han Yu, when it comes to, I can't remember the other guy's name, the primordial god that turned Han Yu helped turn into a demon, and they cut off his hand, and that hand came to Yuan Zhong, played by Louis Jui. Oh God, Yuan Zhong came. But anyways, that primordial god, what happened to him? He created this demon that he locked away, but he created it from extreme suppression, which is why when you look at, whether you look at religion, whether you look at whatever you look at, really, places that practice extreme suppression of things, that is where the most heinous crimes are committed. Whether it's a cult, whether it's a religion, whether it's even our society. Like, if anywhere that practices extreme suppression, like, that is that is who, whenever you look closely, you start uncovering things that should not be there. So maybe what we should be asking ourselves as a society really is, maybe the thing is to look at whatever people call it now, the dark side, the shadow, whatever it is, bring it all out, table it in front of you, and stare at it face to face. Because, I mean, look at Han Yu and all those other gods. Like, I've seen it. It's either extremely suppressing it and then having it blow all the way, or extreme, almost like you tap out of life. Like, if you look at all those other gods, the reason why Han Yu was able to catch them and trap them is because they've kind of given up on life. Like, they're resting on their laurels, meditating, and it's not like a monk meditating and, battling with things. Like, just, it's almost like they've tapped out. They've tapped out of life, and these people are supposed to be the gods. I don't like that though. I don't like that. I beg. When you look at that, it's like, okay, maybe what we should be chasing is tabling out whatever it is, your dark side, your shadow side, your bad things, your bad thoughts, whatever it is, just taking it out, like the anger, like if you have extreme anger issues, like just not letting it get to the point where you bury it, to the point where it manifests as something. I'm going to give you an example. That man, let me find his name, that Ding Zhu, played by Zhu Ying, that is the leader of that Yohu clan. See how his extreme envy and extreme jealousy of Yuan for being the one that the hand of the gods fit. See how he turned that envy and jealousy around. He suppressed it so much, and he made it manifest as, him trying to make sure that Yeonjung doesn't destroy the world, or him trying to, do it for the good of the clan, where really he was doing it for the good of him. Because people that live in extreme suppression of themselves, they don't just suppress themselves, they also work hard to suppress other people and keep other people in line and keep other people below them so they can control them and suppress them. Because if you're suppressing yourself, you don't want to see another person being able to integrate all those things you are suppressing and integrate it beautifully, where those things are not controlling him. They know, oh yes, I'm a madman, I'm obsessive, I'm crazy, but I'm also this and I'm also that. And that also makes it where, if you're if they're doing something if they're doing something and they see, they're able to recognize, okay, I'm being angry, this is just my anger talking. Whereas when you completely suppress and, oppress and just destroy those things, you and just keep it under wraps, it's gonna sneak up on you, and you will just be shooting up the hip without even knowing why you are acting that way. And I also think Dingju knows why he's acting that way. Like, he really wants to live that eternal life, and he's jealous that his hand didn't fit, but he's trying to gaslight other people and make it seem like he's doing it for their good and doing it for Yuan Zheng's good and doing it for everyone else's good. And then you see the flip side, that guy, Qian Lin, Daniel, played by Daniel Joe, you just see how he he realized, like, when all these things happened to him and his clan, he finally realized, he doesn't hate being a war demon. Those people, like his mom was a war demon, like those people, like his clan, his family, all that. What he doesn't like is the extremism of all this, the extremism of the anger, the extremism of the kill, 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 the extremism of all those. things that were inculcated into them when they were young, like, and also continued, like, that thing of, oh, they can never catch a break. And he just realized how he was also partaking in that. And I think when Yuan Zhong started, took him under his wing and started teaching him, he was able to let go of a lot of the prejudices, a lot of the prejudice that he had, and just still be able to, you know, be discerning, but not be so prejudiced that he can't, see past certain things, or see past where someone is from, or see past who somebody is.
Okay, let's look at Jin Tan Yin for a little bit. She had all these strong qualities, you know. She was innovative, determined, understanding, kind, sometimes too kind for her own good. And she was also decisive. When it mattered, she was really decisive. But she also fell into this trap that a lot of us humans, especially women, fall into, where we project good onto people and we want to see that person as being more than they actually are. In her case, she was lucky that it turned out good for her. But sometimes I wonder what she would have done if it did not turn out exactly how it did. Oh, also, she doesn't know how to respect Yuan Zheng's boundaries. That was one of her character arc, like one of the things her character learned when her character was growing, to finally get to respect Yuan Zheng as a person. Because she was just taking, I mean, she wasn't taking liberties with him in the way that we think of when you say taking liberties with someone. But she would enter his mind's eye. She would want him to just bear himself open to her, but then she wouldn't reciprocate. And oh, and she's the master of gaslighting. And I understand her gaslighting just a little bit because, when she came to find Yuan Zhang, that was on the condition that she would not fall in love with him, she would not confess her love to him. So that part I understand a little bit. It's like Yuan Zhang would be like, "Baby, do you love me?" And then she will say, "Oh, I got love for you." I don't know. And she was very good at changing the subject too.
Well, yeah, please let me know what you think. I really liked this show, and I would like to see more reviews about it. It doesn't look like a lot of people are talking about it. It aired on iQiyi. They put some annoying things around the end of the last 5, 6 episodes. They started releasing one episode a day or whatever. But I soldiered on and I finished it, and I want to see what you guys think. So, a moment but forever review, my ladies and gentlemen. This is Oluchi from the Kavi Cauldron signing out. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Please make sure you purchase my book, Tasteful Hypocrisy, from Amazon. I love you. Mwah.